Wow, what a day it was. Fantastic day for the markets, fantastic for the bears, of course, and extremely dull. And I think if I can use that adjective, terrifying for the markets. It was, today's session. Uh, the Nifty fell by more than 300 points. We were at one point sub the 23,000 mark for the index. The bank Nifty, I think that's the one which I think at one point was down some 700 to 750 plus points. Then slight bit of recovery. I think that hope factor played out for the markets in the second half, or maybe in the last 15-20 minutes. The concern for the markets, the big concern for the market which was there today was, I am sure all of you guys already know it, it's the sharp correction in the mid caps, the very sharp correction in small caps. I think both the indices, specifically the Nifty Mid Cap Index, has come back to retesting the lows, and the lows for the mid cap index was almost at the 22,800 marks, 800 mark for the Nifty, where the Nifty was 2 3 weeks back. So we've managed to break that low for the mid cap index, and we've also retested the same kind of levels for small caps. So the pain is getting severe, stressful, I'm sure, for traders. I think I can use all of these adjectives today because of the way the markets were. But the question over here is that should you give in to the market condition right now? Should you react like everyone else is on the street? Or should you now position yourself to look at what's actually playing out as a big macro factor or as a big picture in terms of technical analysis? Right? I'm sure that that question hounds you, and continuously hounds you, that what is the big picture? Am I being swayed away with the current sentiment? You talk to your friends, you talk to your colleagues, you talk to your family members, etc., and you discuss the condition of the markets. The mood is very disappointing and somber, right? And the moment you keep on talking to such people, it just aggravates your mood. But the fact is, emotions are completely different than what statistics or what data tells you. And we've seen that in 2020. And I don't need to give you a history lesson, but you see that in many occasions in the past 20, 25 years in the history of our markets, that if you've been analytical, if you've been more statistical, if you've been more oriented towards data point, there is a very high likelihood, I'm not saying 100% probability, but a very high likelihood that आप कहीं ना कहीं इमोशंस और क्राउड से थोड़ा सा हटके सोचते हो. और बहुत बार होते हैं जो आउटलायर्स होते हैं, जो हम कहते हैं कि जो स्टैंड आउट परफॉर्मर्स होते हैं या स्टैंड आउट क्रिएटर्स होते हैं उस पैनिक या उस यूफोरिक जोन्स में, वो जनरली स्टैंड आउट रिटर्न्स एम कर सकते हैं अपने पोर्टफोलियोज के लिए. सो दैट्स द डिस्कशन विच विल बी हैविंग टुडे. द डिस्कशन विल बी इन डेप्थ, and today I have given you a completely different picture altogether in terms of the data point. Now the question which is there, I'm sure many of you guys are thinking that अरे ये टाइम में तो फंडामेंटल भी वर्क नहीं कर रहा है, ये टाइम में तो टेक्निकल्स भी वर्क नहीं कर रहा है. That's a normal part, normal course of action which happens in the markets. It's not as if that these studies, they don't work at all. In extremes, even if you keep a barrier when there is a flood going on, it's bound to be that the barrier would get swayed away. So these are extreme times, and even in extreme times, those classic supports and resistance may typically not work. But what matters over here is it gives you a benchmark, it gives you a floor, it gives you a thought process. So every trend starts with an assumption, and if the assumption gets nullified, then the trend is, or the reversal of the trend doesn't play out. So all you have to start looking at is, look at the data points, how the data points are shaping on a daily or on a weekly basis, and then try and judge that which part of the extreme you are in the markets. So today's discussion on YouTube Live would be on a very, very similar kind of a category or a similar kind of a point, that what are the analytical data points suggesting? Is the FII selling coming to an end? What was the major factor which was leading to the concern that suddenly, like we were discussing in our yesterday's YouTube Live, that पूरा global market एक अलग chart पर है, but Indian markets एक completely अलग chart पर है. Why is that happening? What is the concerning factor for our markets, and what has changed for our markets, and something which is causing this kind of a panic reaction. We will discuss all of that, and the most important point today, or the crux which we will take out, is the biggest factor which is causing this pain in our markets. The biggest factor or the biggest chart which is there in our markets, that factor and that chart is about to get into a reversal. So the pain point is most likely to end for our markets very, very soon. So that's going to be the gist of today's session, and we'll start discussing. But before that, we were discussing about gold yesterday, right? On dollar denominated terms. You guys remember? Everyone? Right, you guys remember we were discussing in a YouTube live session that gold on dollar denominated prices is looking at a major or a minor correction. Minor, major, you can look at it is in a matter of 2% to 5% swing. Can someone tell me what is the gold price on dollar denominated terms today? Yesterday's closing was 2910, I think, on dollar denominated on the gold prices. So before we start our discussion, just a little homework before before I connect my today's presentation. I would request that you look at the gold prices and what we discussed yesterday. That at 2900 plus mark where the gold prices were yesterday, 2905, 2910 for the gold prices, we indicated that we are nearing a top on the gold prices. So I would suggest that if you guys have some time, just browse through the gold prices on your softwares or on your browsers before we start the discussion. And like what we do every time, I request everyone to ensure that you like the video, and please ensure that you leave your comments and share it to your friends, because the discussion which we have today, the angles which we are throwing in our discussions on the markets are completely innovative. Okay, these are not something which is which is these are rather something which comes out from the experience, what I've gone through over the last 15 to 20 years in my journey towards markets, and especially in these times, because I remember, I think Sahil Madan is mentioning that thanks a lot for starting YouTube Live, and especially in these market conditions. So the idea is to give you a guiding light, what we can expect and what we can forecast or analyze the current market conditions. Okay, let's start today's discussion on YouTube Live. Okay. Fantastic. I hope you guys can see the presentation and the screen is not blank or dark. I have to keep on checking every, because we had this issue previously. So I hope that we are not going through and you guys see the presentation. So today's discussion, and of course technicality, I know it's too late for technicality, because by the time we are actually going live on YouTube, it's already 7:30 Indian time, 7:30 p.m. But it takes time to analyze. It takes time for us and my team to look at all the facets of data points and then come out with the conclusion. Because आपको खाली net last में 4 या 5 chart दिखते हैं, but for that we have to look at at least 50 to 100 charts and then try and sum up what the markets are trying to tell you, right? Yeah, so I think Papaya Sastri is saying it's technical dinner. I think it's a good suggestion. We may probably look at renaming our YouTube lives. So yeah, today's discussion is something which we'll start off with first the part which you mentioned on yesterday's YouTube live. If you remember from our yesterday's discussion, we were saying that gold as an asset class is nearing a swing top, a swing resistance, right? This was yesterday's chart for gold prices. We closed at 2910 on the gold, and right now, as I could last see, that gold prices were almost at 2887. So it's almost like a $20 correction. The point is not just $20. The point is, in the heat of the market euphoria or euphoria in gold prices, our indicators are signaling a potential turn. So that's the point which is important. It takes huge amount of courage to go contra. Okay, especially in times of market corrections, because generally सबका व्यू होता है कि अरे यार करेक्शन है, ये खत्म हो जाएगा, वो खत्म हो जाएगा, markets will fall down XYZ. Okay, but that a picture unfolds very very clearly when you look at it analytically. Same happens when stocks, when asset classes go into a euphoric uptrend. You have to wait patiently, and look at the point where the asset class starts to turn around. And that was the indicator which we flagged off yesterday. So I hope you guys are seeing this chart and are looking at our YouTube lives daily, because every single day we try to connect one part of the entire puzzle or the jigsaw puzzle in the markets, because the puzzle in the market keeps on expanding. Our job is to ensure that you keep on fitting the pieces quite aptly, so you keep getting the view or the bigger dimensional view of what the markets are playing out. Okay, so and this was from the previous week's YouTube live. We were discussing that this is how the markets react post the first RBI rate cut. I think this was on 6th or 7th of February, where we discussed on the YouTube live that after the RBI policy cut, there is a subsequent fall of another at least 3, 4 to 5 candles. This was in 2008-9, specifically in October 2008. I think 20th of October 2008, if I'm not wrong, was the first RBI rate cut. Post that, we saw 4 or 5 days of massive sell-off. In this case, we were going through that subprime crisis, etc., etc. So that's why the sell-off in terms of percentage was extreme. But as I said, even on that day on the YouTube live, that after this sell-off, whenever that sell-off gets arrested, whether it's a 4% correction, 5% correction, or more than that, the bottom which gets formed on that leg of correction, that bottom doesn't get tested for at least the next 6 months to 1 year. So I still stand by with the analysis that whatever leg of correction we are going through, our data is indicative, or the historical charts are indicative, that whatever low we form in this leg could be a major low for the index, at least for the next 3 to 6 months. This was corroborated by one more data point, which was in 2019. So this, I believe, is a like-to-like comparison with what we are seeing today. So again, 7th Feb 2019, deja vu. I hope you guys are feeling or seeing the charts and how brilliant the correlation is, or the historical connotation is. We mentioned that for few successive trading sessions. In this case, we had almost 8 consecutive trading sessions where the index went into a sell-off. And from the day when the RBI cut happened in 2019, the index fell by almost 4.5%, 4.5 to 5%. So mota moti 500 to 600 points correction happened in this leg. Right now, where we are, we started this correction from 23,800 mark. Today we are almost at 23,000 level, which means a correction of almost 800 points, which means a correction of almost 3 to 3.5% for the Nifty, right? Okay, I hope you guys are agreeing with the the mathematical, the calculation part. We are in that zone where we've completed 3.5% correction. This was a point where 4.5% correction happened for the Nifty. Correct? We are so far at 3.5% correction. Now this leg of correction ended in 18 or 2000, sorry, 2019. 7th Feb is where the rate cut happened. 18th 19th Feb के आसपास में मोटा मोटी markets bottomed out, and that bottom was not tested for the next 1 year till the time COVID happened. Correct? So that's the significance of the chart, and that's the impact which we believe the current charts are showing. But this is one aspect. Are the other asset classes, other charts showing very similar kind of conclusion? Now, this is where you will start to get goosebumps. Okay. And I'm certain of it that you will start to get goosebumps when you see all the other data points playing one by one. Okay, so uh, so so now we discuss the biggest chart, something which matters massively, I would say, for Indian markets right now. Can anyone tell me which chart is the biggest chart right now? The biggest impactful chart. Which is that chart? Whether it's the FII selling, whether it's dollar index, US bond yields, Indian bond yields, 10-year treasury, Nifty, VIX. I think Weber Gupta is saying VIX, Amit Mishra is saying gold, Atin Agarwal is saying dollar index. But hit that nail for me. Someone hit that nail for me. Bhavini Vora is saying VIX. Kapil Bogai is saying Bank Nifty. Gururaj Mirji saying FIIs. Amit Mishra dollar index. Hemang Patel dollar chart. Sanket Chheda. Yes. Sanket Chheda has hit the nail on its head. Shishab Babu, Sandeep Mittal, Varun Mittal, Deepak Goel. Yes. So the data or the chart is USD INR. Now, the rupee depreciating or the rupee falling from say 85, 84, whatever we were, I think a month back, towards 87, 88, where we were, I think gives a sense that the FIIs are just converting, selling in the Indian markets, selling the holdings in Indian markets, and then converting immediately to dollar, and then going out. But now that could be in for a big change. Okay, a big change. Are you ready? Yes. So this is the rupee chart, right? The last 15 to 20 years, 2006-7 सब देख रहे 40 का rupee, 85, 88, 87. I think we crossed 88. So we've already reached that kind of a territory on rupee. But the charts are indicative that there is something which is completely different and shaky which is happening on the rupee chart so far. Now, what we've done is on the rupee charts, we've mapped in one of the biggest contra indicators, something which we've developed, as an in-house indicator, which we use it for our training programs. But a biggest contra indicator, okay, it is not your traditional. Okay, it's completely different than the traditional RSIs. But today, okay, we'll be discussing the chart on the rupee indicator over here. So if you guys see big corrections in or big tops in the USD INR pair, I will call it tops to make it more simpler rather than appreciation and depreciation, because वो कभी-कभी थोड़ा confusing हो जाता है. The biggest tops on the rupee chart happens, okay, on the swing basis also happens when the indicator reaches this zone of 75. As I said, it's not your usual RSI, okay, it is something which is completely different than the usual factors. But the chart over here indicates that we are nearing that zone in the previous rhetoric points. Now, today, what we'll do is we'll just go into detail of what happened in these previous occasions. So, if I can get someone as a maybe a volunteer who can say that what were these timelines, can someone tell me what was this point when the rupee topped out? What was this time or what was this level for the rupee? In 2018 over here, and then in 2011 end and 2012 start. So if someone can probably put it on the chat box, on the comment box, it'll be much easier for me to explain, right? And then we can bring that context of what happened in that time and correlate with what's happening right now. And as I said at the start of this discussion on USD INR pair, that this should give you goosebumps because the two previous points were almost exactly similar to the current potential chart where we are heading, right? So the indicator still suggests that we are some distance away So maybe the rupee is at 86.7 or something today. Maybe we can go to 88. Maybe we can go to 89. Maybe we are going to 90. I don't know what could be the terminal value for the USD INR pair. But one thing comes out from this chart is that the indicator is coming into a major top mode. Now we look at the two previous data points, and then we'll try out and map what happened to the Nifty in that time zones, right? So this was the first point. I'll go back again. This is 2018. As you can see, the rupee chart for 2018. This is the rupee chart for 2018. This is the rupee chart for 2018. The indicator tops out. The indicator rather meets the resistance. The rupee USD INR pair tops out, and from a 74 zone, subsequently in the next 6 months, we see a gradual correction in the USD INR pair, right? From 74, 73 and a half, 74 levels, we gradually cooled off to 69 on the USD INR. This is what happened in 2018, October 2018. Do you know what happened to the Nifty in that time? Okay, almost exactly in this zone. Almost exactly in this zone. This is what happened to the Nifty. I'll just remove this. Yeah, okay. This was October 2018. We went through a same correction, weeks of correction. This is the weekly chart on the Nifty. Again, I will show the chart. The data over here suggests on the rupee, the USD INR pair, that we topped out in the subsequent next 2-3 weeks when the indicator started to give a sign of massive overbought. I'll use the word massive overbought. What happened to the Nifty? So maybe the signal could have come out here and we fell by another 2-3 percentage points. Again, as I said, it's impossible to predict the exact lows, but this tells you that should you react like what everyone else is doing on the street, or should you react differently this time, right? So the major factor, and as I said, that it is not the first time that the FIs are selling continuously. You look at the data in 2018 also, same set of data point where the FIs were constantly selling and the Indian markets fell very sharply. Again, I think over here we had a 17% kind of a correction on the Nifty. So far from 26,200 thereabouts, we are almost at 14% to 13.5 to 14 odd percent as a correction on the Nifty so far. Okay, I hope this gives you a very strong indication. What happened next? Once the rupee topped out in 2018, the USD INR pair rather topped out. Once we started to see a correction, it had a direct effect, a direct impact on the Nifty, an absolutely direct impact on the Nifty. So irrespective where Mr. Naren or Mr. XYZ is saying, the charts are saying that if you stay on guard with the current market outlook, there is a very strong likelihood that in the next maybe 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know when the USD INR pair would, get into that exact top out zone or our indicators. But whenever it does, of course, on our YouTube live, we will capture that for all of you. But whenever we do that, we are likely to near a major bottom on the index. But is this one off? There were two data points, right? In the charts, there were two data points. One was 2018. When was this? 2011-12, right? 2011 and December 2011 somewhere, or Jan 2012. Again, the indicator tops out. We hit that zone of 75, and from there we start to reverse. What happened in 2012? Let's look at the chart. This is what happened in 2012. The USD INR pair at that time hit 55. Okay, we hit a zone of 55. The rally or the move continued for 2-3 weeks at least. But then what followed post that? was the USD INR pair correcting from 55 thereabouts to sub 50. Okay. What happened to the index Nifty 2011 and 2012 start, right? Completely different scenarios. This is not COVID. This is not the usual last 4 or 5 years. This is something which is benchmarked to every time the rupee makes a top or the rupee comes into a major resistance point on our indicators. Again, the Nifty, which formed a low at this point, saw a major turnaround, right? Again, this is the data which is there in front of you. So you can see a lot of red, green, sorry, lot of red candles, less of green candles. बट ये जब हुआ उसके बाद में वन साइडेड ग्रीन कैंडल्स. These are weekly charts. Okay, so what happens during the week is just mesmerizing. But I hope this gives you some confidence. Yes or no? Is this giving you some confidence? We are just trying to correlate the points on statistical or on the analytical part and trying to join the puzzle and give you the outlook, right? This should give you goosebumps, right? This should give you goosebumps. So we may be here on the Nifty right now, I don't know. We may be here on the Nifty, I don't know. But I know for certain that if we are here and even if we are falling here, even if we are falling here, say another 2%, 3%, 4%, I don't know exactly what the low could be. We will probably see it in the process over the next few weeks. But one thing is coming out to be very certain. Once the USD INR pair confirms that we are in for a major top, you have to ensure that you come out of your out of market mode and start looking at deploying excessive amount of capital. ओके, तो जनरली हम कहते हैं ना कि जब मार्केट का करेक्शन आता है तो आप थोड़ा सा साइडलाइन पे आ जाओ, बाहर आ जाओ. बट ये चार्ट इंडिकेट कर रहा है कि समथिंग वेरी डिफरेंट इज हैपनिंग राइट नाउ. Very different is happening right now. What everyone is talking about it, because आप जनरली ट्विटर पे जाओगे, आप आपके व्हाट्सएप फॉरवर्ड्स देखोगे तो आप बहुत मीम्स देखोगे, राइट? You will see a lot of memes. So they may be very funny to you when you look at, but the point is, it if you try and remove the emotional part and look at the analytical part, the data is telling you not to be sentimental right now, but to be more strategic. You have to be more strategic right now. Just wait. It's that lion who's waiting in the within the bushes for hours and hours and hours and waiting for his prey to come to him and then pouncing at the right time. Okay, I think this is a brilliant analogy. I think that's what we need to position ourselves currently. We are in that zone where we are waiting in that bush. Okay, we are waiting in that zone where that markets, the prices are coming at what you want them to be. But the point is, would you want to run away over here or would you want to be a lot more specific and strategic? But this is not the end of the discussion today. There is another chart. There is another chart which is also showing very, very similar data point. Okay. Have you got those goosebumps? I want everyone to start commenting on the chat box. Every single pump. Are you getting those goosebumps? Will you now think like every Tom, Dick, and every Joe on the street, or will you start to think a lot more different right now? That's the point, right? The next chart. So this is where the rupee is, of course, currently. This is where the rupee is currently. Okay, we are just about to hit that zone of 75 on our indicator. I don't know. As I said, I don't know whether it happens at 88, 89, 90. I don't know. when that happens. But whenever that happens, trust me, if you guys connect with me on YouTube Live, we would be the first ones to bring this observation out. But today's discussion is on another data point. So the question which we are asking right now, डर के आगे अभी तक क्या समझ में आया? अभी तक आपको क्या समझ में आया अपने एनालिसिस से कि डर के आगे और डर है या फिर कुछ और है? Write it in the comment box. Okay. The second data point is the second data is just mind blowing. So what I did today, today you must have seen that the market breadth was almost 20 or 30 stocks in the advances and 2,500 plus stocks in the declines. Almost like 1 is to 10, 1 is to 8 or 1 is to 10 kind of a market breadth. What I did was just as a breathing factor, because I'm sure after today's sell off, the question is, कल क्या होगा market में, है ना? So I've taken the last 10 years of whenever the market breadth has been more than 80% negative, 75 to 80% negative, what happens the subsequent next day? The subsequent next day. What happens in the subsequent next day? How do the index reacts? In the last, I think 25 occasions, mota moti 25 occasions, 21 occasions, we've actually seen the Nifty close positive the next day. Okay, we've seen the Nifty close positive the next day. Dipti Gupta is saying, "Hi, I'm a blind person. Can you please mention levels?" Vinay Gupta over there. Okay, Vinay Gupta talking from Dipti Gupta's handle. I just mentioned the level on the USD INR, but don't worry, there is another chart which I will look at. So, which means over here, the market breadth is suggesting that we are into a zone where 1 is to 10 ka market breadth tha aaj, 1 advance towards 10 declines approximately. Whenever that has happened, 21 out of last 25 occasions, there has been an immediate rally into the Nifty, which means the next day for the index, we have seen 0.25% to 0.75% kind of rallies. As you can see that there have been days when the Nifty on this day, when the market breadth is deteriorated significantly, the subsequent day, the Nifty is rallied 3.8 to 2.5%, and days when the index is down or the market breadth is down 85%, which means this tells you that 85% of the stocks closed negative on that day. Subsequently, the next day, the index rallied. Now, the 4 days where the index closes negative, if you look at the next 4 days, there are 4 occasions where the next day the index closes negative, right? If you see the date and if you look at the chart of the Nifty, what happens on these 4 dates? In the next 3 to 4 days, a major bottom gets formed for the index. Even on these days, when the index on an immediate day closes negative. So which means अगर कल market close करता है negative, if we are down 0.5%, 1%, I don't know what number we could be, but if in case we are down further for the index, which means we are preparing ourselves for the major bottom on the index chart. That's what the market breadth indicator is telling you, and that should also try and give you a sense of where the rupee chart is indicating to us. Today, for the first time, I think that's what I heard it from the sources on the street, that I think the RBI started to intervene with the rupee fall, which was happening aggressively. So, which means if in case we see the RBI intervening and the pace of correction halting, that could give you the first signal. Now, the second chart is again super interesting. Okay, this is the market breadth indicator. Okay, we discussed this market breadth indicator even at the point when the previous we found out the exact bottom when the Nifty hit that 22,800 mark, उस दिन आके हमने बोला था कि market breadth indicator is indicating divergence and we are likely to form a major bottom with a 5% rally. We got a 5% rally, मोटा मोटी 22,780 से 23,850 तक. Right now, the market breadth indicator has come back to this zone. I want everyone to start looking at the chart and tell me when was this point where the market breadth indicator was -12, -13, and then subsequently the lows which was formed. If someone can, maybe after you do your homework, find the date, you will see the exact correlations which are happening, right? So I hope you found today's discussion very interesting. It's our job to present a new angle altogether every single time and to ensure that something new as a conclusion, and something which is more relative to the current scenario of the index is playing out. Okay, so I'm breathless, but not speechless. If you guys have any questions, please, I'll be glad I can answer that. Okay, this is the number in front of you. If you guys have any queries, just ensure that you please do ensure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe. We want to grow this family massively and very quickly, right? So if you guys have any queries, we can take that. Okay, I'll just read few comments. First of all, hi to everyone. Sorry if I have not been able to acknowledge all of you guys, but I've been reading your comments and let me see what questions you guys have, and I'll probably try and pick and choose. With if there are any reasonable questions which you can answer on today's analysis. Anurag Saxena says, amazing analysis. Thank you so much, Anurag ji. TP Vinod Kumar is asking, can we buy 6 month later call Nifty? Yeah, why not? Good. I think it's a good. But I would suggest that you start looking at buying it on staggered quantity. I don't know, as I said, whether the Nifty is going to hit the low immediately in the next 2-3 days or in the next 1 or 2 weeks. But I know for with a high degree of certainty that we are nearing the end of this market correction. तो ये टाइम में बोलते ना, the last correction is the most painful correction. If you can withstand that last painful correction, okay, with least degree of damage to your portfolio, that is substantial enough, right? Substantial enough. So today's mood point is Sureel Javeri saying, डर के आगे जीत भी है, बाइंग अपॉर्चुनिटी भी है, एंड सब्यसाची also said वैल्यू है. या डर के आगे बहुत सारी चीज है. The point is what you are ready and what your sense is where you can position yourself. Alice is asking, a good time to buy Nifty Bs. Yeah, that could be a very good strategy where you can buy. But one of the observations which we discussed today, or one of the mood point of this discussion is, should you be afraid of the market correction right now? Okay, or you can say maybe that the bus is gone way beyond the station, that you are absolutely late in reacting. Right now, don't react. The markets want you to react, but then this is the point where you should not react, right? And be a lot more alert and be a lot more analytical. Sometimes हम बोलते हैं ना कि दिल से मत सोचो और दिमाग से सोचो. ये वो टाइम है जहां पे दिल की बिल्कुल भी मत सुनो, थोड़ा सा दिमाग, थोड़ा सा calmness यूज करो. I think you will get the picture very clear. Harish Kuha is asking, will Reliance lead the rally? Harish, the answer to that is in my yesterday's YouTube live. So I also in yesterday's YouTube live, I mentioned which sector should lead the charge in this potential whenever the markets are going through a revival, or when the markets will go through a revival. Which sector will look at leading the rally or leading the charge from the front. So I would suggest that you go to yesterday's YouTube live, 10th of February, and you see that you will get the complete analysis absolutely crystal clear. Okay, Gautam Guha, how much mid cap and small cap correct from here? Yeah, very difficult, Gautam ji, to ask or to suggest that how much can the index correct. But as I said, that we are in that final zone. Final corrections बहुत painful होता है. If you go back to 2020, if you look at March 2020, March, the last 7 days एक ऐसा टाइम था जहां पे निफ्टी 3-3%, 2 to 3-3%, 5% डेली गिरता था, है ना? और सब लोग पैनिक हो गए थे. But that turned out to be one of the biggest opportunities for investors, right? So I'm not sure, I'm not saying that we will fall with that intensity, but the point is, wait, wait and be patient. That opportunity is going to knock through that door. Just wait for the. So I have this very fantastic line which I keep mentioning to my advisory clients, that wait for the bend. Wait for the bend, because it will tell you that the previous trend has come to an end. Okay. Is it a good time to buy mid caps and small caps ETFs? Suman Kotha. Yes, this could actually be a very good time. That's why I said maybe quoting some great fund managers at current juncture and putting them into negative context may not be something right. You have to think more rationally and stop getting into more emotional discussions over here. So I agree, Suman Kotha, this could be a start of a good time, that subsequently in the next few days or in the next few weeks, you might come out as a strong potential zone of mid caps and small caps outperformance. From a medium term play, of course. Okay, I'll take some other query. Debashish Bakchi, what will happen with PSUs? Debashish, with every cycle, what happens is whenever markets come into a sharp correction and a rally, there are new sectors which emerge as potential turnarounds. तो हो सकता है कि in this leg of market rally, you might expect new sectors to lead the charge. So maybe the PSUs could underperform for some more time. So अगर आप exact bottom पे अगर आप buy करो, तो maybe these stocks may not give you a great return, but whenever the markets revive, it's a matter of time that even the underperforming in the sharp corrected PSUs, even these stocks, they will start to rally. Davin Verma is saying thanks Dilse. Davin Verma, thank you so much. It's lovely to see so many new faces today on the YouTube live comment and the chat box. Guys, keep on interacting. There is going to be loads of data points which we'll be discussing in our YouTube lives. So I want all of you guys to engage yourself with the observation. For anyone who's missed out on today's analysis and is joined late, I would request that you re-watch today's video, because we've thrown in some classical angles over here. Okay, Horvi is asking a question. No, Horvi, it is not as if I'm not answering the question. I missed your question. That's view on silver. So I mentioned, I think, in my one of my webinars that silver and gold for and this, I think we mentioned this in December 2024, that we are looking at a sharp rally in gold and silver. I think that phase of sharp rally has happened. We are now looking at a near-term corrections for silver prices, at least on the short-term basis. For long-term charts, I think we discussed this onto our paid webinar, so I would not be able to comment over here. But short term wise, yeah, I believe there could be a near term top in place for silver prices. Okay, Sahil Madan is asking Laurus Labs. Brilliant chart for Laurus Labs. I've not seen this stock outperform so strongly, but the only catch is this stock behaves different than how the markets are. तो इन्हें बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि मार्केट्स गिरते हैं और ये स्टॉक चलता है, और बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि ये स्टॉक गिरते जाता है और मार्केट वन साइड चलते जाता है. So you can't picture this stock in relation with respect to what happens to the market. So if I have to answer your query, I would just play levels on Laurus Labs. 500 as a huge support for the stock from where the stock has recently bounced off, and surrounding 640 650 mark is a huge resistance. तो जैसे ही वो बैंड को क्रॉस करता है, 650 क्रॉस करता है, you should look to there could be a chance that maybe the stock can move up higher. Closer to 500 could be a good support point for Laurus Labs. Sandeep Mittal, any other turnaround sector apart from private bank? Yeah, Sandeep, why solve all the queries on one day? We will discuss few sectors as and how the markets start to evolve and the bottom starts to shape up, right? Sabyasachi Bhattacharya, Bhel for the next 3 years, please advise. Bullish on the stock, but then again a high beta stock. In this leg of correction, we've seen this stock also correcting by 40-50%. Again, very difficult to anticipate कहाँ जाके correction रुकेगा. But historically we've seen that when stocks after a 2x 3x jump, when they correct by 40-50%, they generally come closer to strong support points. Okay, right. I'll just take maybe one or two more queries, especially from guys who are joined before. Uh, okay, there's a deluge of query, but before I answer a query, I would want everyone to ensure that you like the video, right? And you leave the comments on the video once we end today's YouTube live also. Okay, Dipti Gupta is asking, should we buy stocks which are at new highs in the last 5 days? So it could be a good strategy because generally it is said that leaders are the ones which would lead the charge on the markets going forward. So leaders are the ones which could lead the charge, which could be the first ones to give you outperformance. But एक ऐसा टाइम आता है जहाँ पे लॉन्ग बिल्टअप होता है और एक ऐसा टाइम आता है लॉन्ग बिल्टअप होने के बाद में कि शॉर्ट कवरिंग में जनरली ज्यादा पैसा बनता है. Okay, so maybe as a first go, you can look at stocks which are relatively strong, but eventually, once the market gets into a turnaround or a reversal mode, there will come a point where betting on the underperformers could actually give you great results in terms of percentage gains. Okay, I think I've answered most of your queries. Uh, I hope you loved today's YouTube live, guys. I know the discussion was a bit more lengthy, but the angles which we have covered are something which you will not see. I get maybe just 2-3 minutes when I answer it on ET now. So it gets very difficult for me to give you such kind of a detailed thought process. Maybe someday we will have a half an hour session only by myself on ET now, and over there maybe I can discuss at length all the data points what we are discussing right now. But I hope you find these data points very, very intriguing. I would request everyone yet again before we end today's YouTube live that you don't forget to like, share, subscribe the channel, and of course leave a comment. And if in case you require any sort of new additions to the analysis, I'll be glad to take your suggestions. Right? Thank you so much. Thank you, Hemang Patel, Sabyasachi, Anurag, Hina Doshi, Sanjay Nadlal, Sandeep Mittal, Dhananjay, Papia, Alice, Devashish. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you found this very, very intriguing. And thank you to Jai Hind also, right? Thank you so much, guys. See you tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, in the YouTube live. And again, with something very interesting, something out of the box. And don't forget that in the subsequent YouTube lives, whenever we see the USD INR pair topping out, knock, 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 we would be the first ones to tell you that when this pair has topped out and when there could be one of the biggest opportunities for all of you guys. With that, bye bye. Thank you.